Hey,
Well,
Phil.
Wednesday.
Phil. Have you turned on the central heating yet? Is the central heating up and running?
I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit nippy.
Yeah. I didn't know. I was worried you wouldn't be there to start the show in case you needed to get a scarf, gloves, hat,
Hang on,
coat.
hang on. I've let you down, Russ. I'm so sorry.
Why?
So
no
sorry.
Cravat. No cravat. Open neck. What the hell's going on? E Phantom, crazy gal, crazy name. Richard Todd, normal name, probably very nice person. Chrissy Holt, hello, a lovely sunny Spain. Yes, it's a boy. That's better. Because I thought it was a bit casual, you just wearing in 300. As it's hotter than the center of the sun, I thought you just wearing a shirt was a little bit casual. Jill Kenton.
Oh my.
Good God. Jeez. Jill Kenton across the universe. She does lots of voiceovers. They could not be worse. Jill Kenton.
Wow, you are in trouble now.
No, I just thinking of something that I was trying to think of something that rhymed. Kimmy Lashmar. Lol. Hell. Hello. You meant to be saying hello. Oh, hello. Jill, hello. How are you? I hope you're well. Hope you're well. I'm Richard still in awe of Phil Todd. Richard Todd. I'm still in awe of Phil's hairdo. I actually saw. I got to tell you. I got to share you something. Share. I actually saw in person Phil Dave live and personal yesterday, and he looked fantastic. He can't hear me. It's all right. Good morning, Russ. Jeff Stevenson never leaves you. Now, Jeff Stevenson, one of the finest stand-up comics in the country, a charming guy. Jeff and I had never met. We did Panto together, did Peter Pan, and you're forced to share dressing rooms, and it can either be great or a disaster. We became lifelong pals, and he's just the most charming guy. And Jeff, I speak on behalf of so many people. Like, I can't wait for the world to come back to some sense of normality when you can go back on the cruise ships and entertain hundreds of thousands of people as you did, every year, ship after ship. And I know it's really rough. But I'm so sorry. Jill Kenton, love you guys, miss you, keep cool. Unlikely. You can pick one. You can love us, you can miss us, or you can keep cool. We can't do all three.
I'll keep cool.
Chrissy Holt, I'm reading this to you, Phil. I love Phil's look. He looks very distinguished and handsome. Well, he does. I look very extinguished. But now, there we are. That's how life is.
I feel it's a shame that you needed to sort of preempt that with saying that it was from Chrissy, because I thought for a split second there you were paying me a compliment, Russ.
Well, I read it out and I agreed with Chrissy Holt. One, because she's scary. Two, she could drive over my head with a tractor from Spain anytime. And three, why not? You look great. I think it's fantastic. I know it was a very brave move of you.
I do feel
Monroe. Hello. Brave. You don't feel it's brave?
No, I do feel very guilty when people say it's brave, because to me, I know people are so much more brave than just shaving their head.
All right, look, you're not fighting in the front line in Afghanistan. You're not a bomb diffuser expert, and you're not a brain surgeon. Your life is in their hands. There is bravery and bravery, but for you, it was a very big deal, and I don't think that it should just be diminished and just set aside. You and I have talked about it for well over a year. And then you went and did it. And I think major props to you. It does suit Phil, says E Phantom. Whoa.
Hang on. I
wonder, does she hide behind curtains at night and just come out and
go? I want to reassure people, in case anyone is worried about Russ and whether or not he's having some sort of seizure, he's actually going to make a ghost noise, just to reassure you. Don't worry. He is okay. I promise.
I think they probably worked that out. I'll be honest with you. I think they were ahead of us.
I'm not sure.
They were ahead of us on that. Ramsey Y. Masalim, also in South London.
Oh, yes. I'm broadcasting from Hertfordshire, and Russ is broadcasting from South London.
Now, E Phantom's answered my question, because I said, does she hide behind the curtains and at night just jump out? Because I don't know if she's married or not, or got family or whatever. I don't know. So she go like that. She says, yes, I do. I hide under a white sheet. That would be very scary. Woo. That would be terrible. That would be like Hammer House of Horror. Good afternoon to Ed Grossman. Good afternoon to you, Edward. By the way, if you like music...
That's very presumptuous. Hang on, that's very presumptuous. Is it Edward or Edmund, perhaps?
It's Edward.
It is Edward.
Yeah, Ed Grossman is Edward.
All right.
That's
Just
a fact. It's
check it.
Edmund Hockeridge. Nice cutting edge
Gotta be
reference.
careful with
There,
these
Russ.
things, you see. You never take it for granted. I mean, everyone
I don't
thinks
take
my name.
it.
No, you don't understand. Everyone thinks my name's Philip.
It is Philip.
Might be
What is
Philip.
it? Philomena? Is it
Yeah.
Philomena?
Philomena, for all you know.
That would account for quite a few things that you've never bothered to mention before.
I would
right.
like to reassure people, though, it is short for Philip. It's not short for Philomena.
Now, you see, you dug yourself into a hole there. You had to get a JCB and slap yourself out. I love that. I do hide under a white sheet. Things people do. Now, I apologize if you hear a slight murmuring. It's not starlings or swallows. It's a sort of industrial-sized fan that I've got behind me. It looks like the prop from a Lancaster bomber. I'm sorry if it's loud. I just cannot switch it off because I will just be sitting here like melting. I'm melting.
It's quite good to talk behind it, and then you sound like a Dalek. Hey.
No, you don't. Do it again. It didn't sound like a Dalek at all. It sounded like some weird comedy act.
Exterminate. Sort of.
That's just you going exterminate. You don't need the fan for that. That's just you being silly. Right. Okay. Let's get on to Phil Andrews.
Well, I feel
Philippa Hour talking nonsense. Paul.
In other words, fill up an hour talking nonsense.
Oh, thanks, Philippa. Well, that's a bit rude.
Yeah.
I don't like Paul Andrews. I never liked
him. Wow. Just saying, no one's asking you to listen.
No, Paul Andrews is one of our presenters. Shut up. Scouse Dalek.
Yeah, it's true, actually. It was a bit, wasn't
Scouse Dalek.
Scouse Dalek.
Ken Aljanua, player. Agreed. Phil's new normal hair is a fine improvement on the wild man style he favored.
What was wrong with wild, for heaven's sakes? I don't know why I'm... And you know what? I actually found people quite intimidated by wild. I don't mean but it is extraordinary the number of people who would say things... All right, some people used to say to me things like, when are you going to shave all your hair off?
And you say, why don't you just say to them, when are you going to cut your head off?
I've absolutely no intention of doing that. Why would you say that? And this was for years, by the way. I'm not talking about recently.
It's a very personal, rude thing to say, though, isn't it? It's like a really personal thing. Why would you do that? Why do you think you have the right? Unless you're Phil's really close friend, why do people think...
Oh, no, make no mistake. Even really close friends, I would rather not hear it. That's just... I just don't think it's anyone's business. Exactly the same way.
Nobody's business.
If you were to say to somebody, look, I think you need to know something. It'd be better coming from me than anyone else. Do you realize that actually the hairstyle you've got, maybe you're a bit too old for it now? I think you'd do yourself a favor if, okay? So someone put it like that. I think it was very different. But if you're going to just come up to someone and say, oh, goodness me, look at that. When are you going to shave that off? Which I have had, by the way. You just think, it's none of your business.
Phil Jones, hair today, gone tomorrow.
Very good. I see a fellow Phil who's got a sense of humor.
Spelling is all over the place. Spelling. You wouldn't ask Eve Phantom, who hides under a white sheet and scares the crap out of everybody, apparently. You wouldn't ask when you're going to lose weight.
Now, you say that, Eve.
That's a classic. Hey, Lardass, when are you going to lose some weight? I mean, you wouldn't do that, would you? Wait, you, salad dodger, I'm talking to you.
Paul Andrews, do I now need to preface humor with a symbol from now on? You know I'm kidding, Phil. But highlights that joshing and sarcasm doesn't work via text.
No, we normally get it.
Luckily, Paul.
Phil Jones is making a very valid point here. No, Paul, of course you don't. We're over 21. We know how many beans make 5. Phil Jones, nobody has the right to belittle anyone else ever. This is true. The reason I fell out with a well-known broadcaster whose name I won't mention, we haven't spoken ever since, very well-known female broadcaster. In case anyone thought it was Chris Tarrant. What?
What? And you don't need to go any way to identifying. It's fine.
No, I'm not identifying. I didn't want people to think it was Chris because I've never thought that was Chris.
No one would think it's Chris Tarrant.
Good. And I was at a party in this person's home, and a complete stranger to me walked up. Complete stranger. And I'm chatting. I'm there with my partner, and I'm there with 2 other people. We're just having a conversation. This woman walks up and goes, God, Russ Kane's got old. I'm like, Like what? And everybody the four of us just stared at this bitch. And I don't know who the hell she was. And I said, really? I said, oh. You have a mirror? And I just said,
hilarious.
and apparently I was very restrained. And I just said, oh, you got a mirror at home? And I carried on the conversation that we were having.
Do you know what? I do find
the end of our friendship.
I do find
apparently I was intolerably rude.
If you give as good as you get, I do find if you give as good as you get, normally that's some way to shutting people up. Because I remember there was what? Sorry,
you do that. You're very direct.
No, I know, but there was a chap who. This is going to sound very peculiar, so I think I need to give it some context before people completely.
As if coming from Phil, it would sound peculiar. I'm
fairly sure that you will judge me anyway, but I'll give it a shot.
Go ahead.
I was going to a friend's birthday party, and it was their 30th, and they decided to do it in a 90s theme because they were born in the 1990s. And a group of friends of mine and I, we decided we were going to go as the, in inverted commas, Spice Girls. All guys, but we were going to dress up as the Spice Girls just for a laugh. So I was Scary Spice.
Yeah. Okay.
And in fact, actually, I think, hang on a second, let me see whether I can find a photo of this. Because
God, this is going to be nauseatingly worrying.
This may haunt you, but I think it might be worthwhile just to give it some
some context, to contextualize the hilarious anecdote.
Yeah, but anyway, look, whilst I'm finding the photo, allow me to explain what happened. Is that we put the said photo on social media because in those days I was quite happy to, document my life and put myself out there and see whatever flack I got. I didn't care too much. However, there was this one particular individual who I hadn't got a clue who he was, by the way. Let me stress that. I don't know who this was. It's just someone on social media who said, right, I think I can share this now. You ready? Hang on a second.
Right. Put my reading glasses on so I can see. Oh, there you are.
Right, hang on a second. And there we go. Right, so you should see this now. Okay, so there's a photo.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, okay, there you go. There's all of us dressed up as the Spice Girls.
That was your normal hair, wasn't it? That was your hair without.
I do miss my hair. But anyway, so you can clearly see that I am supposedly dressed up as Scary Spice.
Yeah.
Now, I had someone who someone messaged on Twitter saying, after all the others look great, you might want to sack Scary Spice, though. So my response is very simple. I just said, oh, I'm so sorry. Please feel free to tweet a photo of your efforts to see how you compare. And they shut up after that. So there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I love the one who's Jerry. I think you've pulled, by the way, Phil. Richard Todd 4.
Yeah.
Richard Todd was going to say Hairy Spice, but maybe not. Oh God, that's awful.
It's not so much anymore, I'm afraid.
My favorite gag of this week is like the coronavirus pandemic in Australia is like the Spice Girls. Everyone's doing their best apart from Victoria.
I thought you were going to say
some very witty people out there. That's very funny.
I thought you were going to say that Kate's making a terrible comeback. Right.
No. My other things, the other thing was like, your teeth are like the Spice Girls. Really? Yeah. They're all different colors and go in different directions.
And quite scary.
No, you don't need to add. This is, come on, Phil, read this up because this is extraordinary.
Phil Jones, I'm going to take this comment off screen because otherwise Russ and I get buried. Actually, hang on a sec. Russ, should we peer over the top? Hang on a sec. There we go. Over the wall. There we go. Hello. Right. Phil Jones says, my neighbor said to me, I was getting podgy and nearly the size of him. I'm 16 stone and he is 23 stone.
Really?
I can't really say my response.
Salad Dodger.
He is so rude. I can't bear to talk to him anymore. I don't need negative people like that. This is a great show, guys. Phil, that's very kind of you to say so. And Phil, you know what? You're right. Totally right.
Phil, you don't. The great thing about life, and I know I talk about it a lot, but it's all to do with mental health and well-being. You don't need negative people in your life. You don't need them. They add nothing. And my rule, it's my own personal rule. You know, I'm not prescriptive about it. Just how I lead my own life is that if somebody adds nothing to my life, I don't need them. Screw it.
Correct.
I don't need them in my life. What for? What do? They bring you down. They criticize. They bring you down. They criticize you. They, they're They're unpleasant. They make you doubt what you're trying to do, and you don't need it. You know, you need supportive, you need realistic people around you. You need realistic people around you, and you need people that you can bounce an idea off, and they'll say, I think it's good because, or I don't think that'll work, but what about if you do X, Y, and Z? That is great. Constructive help. It's a fantastic thing. Everybody in the world needs it because it's a tough world, and it gets tougher. But you don't need negativity. And that's not some American Californian hippy dippy nonsense. You don't need it. It adds nothing to your life at all.
But also, you could sort of say that it's the way people deliver a message to you. You know, like I was saying, if someone softens the blow by saying, "I'm sure you'd rather hear this from me. I'm really sorry, but," rather than "you're looking a bit podgy." How rude! What the hell? If someone said that,
you would never say that. That's just so rude.
But having said that, I mean, you and I, of course, come from a background where we have grown up in a community that's forever saying, "You're looking thin, have a sandwich." So
no one said that to me apart from my cousin Francine.
Well, there you go.
My cousin Francine is like, I've never known anyone, you know, if the whole of the Premier League happened to be in North London and popped into my cousin Francine's house, it'd be no problem feeding them. Be nothing. Wouldn't be a problem for her. I've never known any, I have nothing. I keep everything absolutely minimal. Fran, jeez. Right, Paul Andrews, cut out negative people and avoid arguments. Be kind makes your day far better. Being kind. If you can, great, but just don't be negative. We're no longer allowed to compliment.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
Well, you can't.
No, I don't agree.
No, hang on a minute. Hang on. In all seriousness, in America, I know we don't live in America. I'm not obsessed with America, but it's pretty important.
Phew, thank goodness. I thought I'd moved and didn't realize.
In America, if you went to a female and said, "Hey, your hair's looking nice today," boom, lawsuit straight away. No ifs or buts. Ed is quite right. You have no idea. Now, when you did it in Texas or somewhere, I'm talking about LA, possibly New York, but certainly in Los Angeles, you can't say anything. When I was last there, I was told by someone whose opinion I listened to a lot that there was an office situation. And how many times have you done this, Phil? I've done it a million times. I'm sure our listeners have done it. When you're talking to a work colleague and you perch on the edge of the desk. So you don't come round to where they're sitting. You perch on the edge of the desk to have a conversation. I mean, everybody has done it. Oh, no. They were sued, infringement of personal rights, and it was seen as a kind of overtly sexual act. And it's like the guy was having a business conversation, nothing else, and just perched for a second on the edge of the desk. This is the crap you're dealing with. It's a complete madness.
Yes,
well, why there is a big exodus from Los Angeles right now. People have had enough.
I don't really care too much for what could arguably described as lunatic behavior, but I would suggest that there is a fine line to be crossed. And I believe that if someone has got a nice hairdo, there's nothing wrong with saying, "May I just say, your hair looks amazing today. I don't know what you've done differently, but it looks really good." Something along those lines, I would have thought is considerably more acceptable than something along the lines of, "Hey, check out your new hair," something like that. Do you see what I mean? There's a real difference between
I can tell you this, and this is a fact from companies such as Netflix, and other of those what I call platform companies, when they have to have induction courses. And I was again told this by someone who had to attend the induction, not the induction, the behavioral course, if you like. And these are senior people. I'm not talking about some kid's first job. I'm talking about senior people, right? And you can't say, I'm not making this up. I wish I was, because it's just such nonsense. You can't say, "Did you have a good weekend?" You have to be, I'm not making this up. So if you go, "Hey, did you have a good weekend?" No, that's offensive, and they can get you for that. If you go, "Oh, I hope you had a nice weekend," that's okay. This is the world we've created. This is the world we're being dragged into by a tiny minority who had just got us by the throat. And there's a comment. Where's the comment? Richard Todd. Can you read the? Oh no, you're busy. All right. No, because I can see you're doing something there. I remember the days when a female co-worker would arrive into work one day after a trip to the hairdresser, and you could say, "Morning, Mary. Did you come to work on the back of a motorbike this morning?" and get a laugh. Jeff Stevenson's writing that one down, so when he goes back on the cruises, Jeff, that is your clincher. That is your get off the stage. That's going to be a belter.
Meanwhile, Matt Anderson says, how would you navigate a negative individual? You can't ignore, though. That's where I think a lot of people get stuck. Well, do you know what? I agree. You can't necessarily avoid them altogether. But for me, and believe me, if it's a skill, I think, I believe you do have to train yourself to do it. Let it go over your head. And now, for me, it's much easier to go over my head.
Yay! I had to, and I wasn't proud of it, but I had to do it. There's somebody I've known since I was 5. And you can make as many gags as you like. Yeah, long time. And they went from being, kind of a periphery friend to just being this vortex of negativity, and everything was terrible. Everything was negative. And it was and it was all of their own. I'll be absolutely frank. A lot of it was of their own making. Some of it wasn't, which was health issues, but the others were. And it was lifestyle choices. And I had to on social media, the be all and end all, the Bible of worlds, unfriend them and stop it and block it because I couldn't take it anymore. You'd put up a completely innocuous comment about something and you just get all this negative guff. I thought, I've known you since we were 5 years old. I can't do this anymore. So you can, I didn't feel comfortable about it, but I just couldn't. It was just so wearing. It was so wearing, and life's tough enough. I love the hairdo. Is that acceptable? Ed Grossman to Phil Dave, I suspect. Of course it is. Sue him.
I'm now going
Ed,
to...
no problem. Sue him now.
Yeah. I'm now in the process of speaking to my lawyer. And see how much I can claim in compensation for being really quite forward. And actually, it's possibly also borderline of slander because it was done in public. It was on Facebook. It's public.
So it's been published. It's basically been published. I think there was a sexual undertone.
Do you think so? Yeah, well, I'll get some of that as well.
There could be sexual harassment there.
Some of that as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you got quite a case.
Russ, next time someone pays us a compliment, I've got a feeling if we have like a ready-made template, don't tell anyone. If we have a ready-made template of, say, how we're going to sue them for trauma, perhaps, for being too forward, for harassment, whatever it is, have a ready-made template, and we just literally fill out their names. So as soon as
I'm going to phone Mishcon Dereya. The moment the show's finished, Mishcon Dereya, it's my first call.
On it. Brilliant. Excellent.
Totally.
Ed, you may say that. Thank you. That's very kind.
I'm 100% certain, says Richard Todd, I'm 100% certain that there are people out there who wake up and think to themselves, their main aim of the day, I'm laughing, but it's true, is to find at least one thing they'll be offended by, and boy, they don't disappoint. Richard, it's I put up a cartoon, I don't know, about a year ago, and it's somebody going, oh, I haven't been told what to... She's looking at her phone. It's a guy or a girl. It's irrelevant. The sex is irrelevant. And it going, I haven't been told today what I'm meant to be offended by.
Too right, it's irrelevant in this day and age. How dare you gender someone? What's wrong with you?
Ramsey Y. Musalam. La La Land is just a bubble. Totally so. The New York state of mind is much closer to our British sense of humour and sensibility. I was invited to be the best man at a wedding at the Beverly Wilshire. That is a gorgeous hotel. And had to abandon my speech when I realized I'd probably be lynched for just a bit of ribbing at the expense of the groom.
Whoops.
Ed Grossman's point. Read that out, Phil, because it's more up your street.
I won't be reading it out just because I don't think it's appropriate for me to do so based on it being...
I can.
I will say that, yes, Ed, you're quite right.
He says that, to be offended, that's LBC daily from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I found it very sad, though. Actually, you know what? I think it's very sad. No. I actually think it's very sad because honestly, I think you'll find that James O'Brien is actually a very good broadcaster. However, he's sort of now managed to find this ghastly reputation of being a representative for the diehard left, who are just in this bubble of offence all the time. I think
the whole time. All the time. Offended by if the wind changes direction, it's somebody's fault. Not everything is somebody's fault, you know.
Because actually, he once in a blue moon, he can make quite a coherent point. I don't necessarily agree with him, but he makes a very coherent point. But he doesn't need to do it with this attitude of I'm right, you're wrong, because you're not as left.
It is extraordinary, isn't it? It is quite extraordinary for any broadcaster. Now, you're trained by the BBC, and the lovely Petri Hoskin is trained by the BBC, people like that. So you've got to be neutral. That's your job. You have to be neutral. All right, I'm not neutral. If I think something's pants, I'm just going to say it's pants. There you are. And you can agree, disagree. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just the view. But when you've got huge stations, and the person's, their whole thing is didactic, their whole thing is prescriptive, the whole thing is, if you don't agree with me, not only are you wrong, you're stupid. And that is so insulting. I've never understood it. I mean, that was the key of the Brexit. Whatever you think, oh, you're stupid. No, people have actually thought of, no, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're just stupid. I'm right, and that's it. It's just rude. I've never understood it. It was everything that I'm against in broadcasting. I've got to mention somebody who's very lovely. She's making a lot of comments. Her name is Sandra Butler. And Sandra is a lady of certain years who has not been in the best of health, is an exceptionally kind and wise person. And we have a lot of sort of private messages, and she's so generous of spirit and just a very generous person. So Sandra, I hope you're well, because I know your health is a bit of somewhat of a roller coaster with peaks and troughs, putting it mildly. But she's saying about negative people, it's easy once you just switched off. I lived with 4 negative people and cut them off over a decade ago permanently. Got to be done. And she then says, and this is a really good point about mental health, I'm good at giving praise and compliments, which you are, Sandra. You're very complimentary and very kind. But I've never been good at accepting them. I can relate to that. Can't accept a compliment. It's a weird thing. Phil knows I cannot accept a compliment. I'm not comfortable with it at all.
It's true. That's why I never give Russ compliments, you see.
No, Phil knows he'll try and say something, and I just can't.
There's nothing complimentary.
Can't deal with it. It's a very odd thing. I don't know what it is about my makeup. I can't deal with it at all.
No, but do you know what? I do agree with it, though. I hear you, because I find it. I think I know what it is with me, and I don't know if you can relate to this or not. But I find when someone compliments me, I'm worried they're going to think that that's what I've been angling for, when I absolutely haven't. But then at the same time, that's a really clever point. I never thought of that. But it's not. No, but it goes one step further. I tackle with myself, because if I don't have a compliment once in a while about something, then I'll be worried I'm doing something wrong.
No, I'm not like that. Lloyd Beanie, now you've got to remind me. A compliment slip. Yes. I've just remembered what it was. Lloyd Beanie, whatever happened to compliment slips?
Yes, a third of an A4 page that you shoved in with a letter.
I used to have those printed up. I thought they were really great, because if you were sending off a script, or back in the day when we used the post, right? You didn't have everything electronic and digital. You just paperclip a compliment slip, and hope you like this, or best wishes, or whatever.
My personal favorite.
I really like compliment slips. Thank you, Lloydsky. I'd forgotten that.
My personal favorite is when people used to put in blank compliment slips, because then I thought, what's the point of that?
Well, because you've got their name and address and phone number and fax number and telex number. You fill out your own. Anyway, did one person listening to this show now ever understand how the hell to use a telex machine?
I don't know.
Needed to be a nuclear physicist.
Facsimile. I understood facsimile, but not telex.
No, even an idiot like me could use a fax machine. Of course, it always ran out of toner or paper when you needed it. Richard Todd. Ed Grossman's got loads of compliment slips. Chrissy Holt, I've got one signed by Russ.
Oh.
O'Reilly, have you? Gosh. Richard Todd. Wow. Our
What?
local count. I'm going to read this out. This is Richard Todd, not me. Our local council is run by a bunch of diehard lefties, and boy, do they know how to get the right members of public on our local Facebook pages on side. The page used to be about lost dogs, bad parking, and what time does Aldi open? Fair enough, because it's a local thing. Nowadays, it's point scoring using some very gullible university students. No kidding. To post their dirty work.
Okay,
don't name the council, but
I was to say I'm very pleased you didn't identify the council there. Ed Grossman, telex. I used to send telexes that were 7 foot long when printed.
Oh, easy. They were nightmare. When I was an article clerk in the law, no, don't even go there. And you had to send telexes. I couldn't. You had to wait for one person who was usually 17 years old, was always out getting a packet of fags and a sandwich and a bag of crisps. And when that person came back, you could then send out a telex. None of the partners knew how to work a telex. Nobody, no one. They were so bloody complicated because they were they had to pre-program it. Honestly, I think the moon landings were easier. Sandra Butler, who I was talking about. Thanks,
Sandra.
Go on, read it out.
Yeah, you need to tell us this. Sandra says, "Yep, all good, thanks, Russ. Insomnia is sorted at long last. Well done. We need to know how, please."
Yeah, I wish.
I think I bat away the compliments because I was never given anything growing up with the 4. With the 4, so never knew how to deal with it. Okay.
Oh no, she meant the 4 people that were very negative that she cut out of her life 10 years ago.
Oh, I see.
That's good. Richard Todd, 1988, I sent my first fax. I was in awe of how do you know what? The same thing occurred to me. I was in awe how you could put a piece of paper into a machine in London and it would come out on the other side. This one in particular, I sent to Seoul in Korea. I thought it was magic. I assumed that some things simply are magic. That's how they work. Microwave oven, it's magic. Fax machine, it's magic. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand how a text. I don't understand how any of it works. It's just clearly voodoo magic. I don't think it's technology at all. I think there is an alchemist and wizards and elves, and they put all this stuff together and put it into a phone. That's how it works.
Yes, that's right.
How can you type, hello Phil, da 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 da, and it appears on a screen? How does that even work? How does it know to go to your screen? It's incredible.
Sen reckons it's the work of the devil.
Sen would know. Sen has sold his soul. No two ways about it. He is the modern Faust. If there's a Turkish version of Faust, that's Sen Monroe. I don't know where.
Sen has absolutely sold his soul to the devil. He's appeared on daytime television. You don't need to know any more than that.
Oh, Richard Todd, it's like Catweasel. He used to call it electrickery. Oh, that's very clever.
Oh, I like that.
Ed Grossman, do you know you can send a fax from your computer? No need for that. Oh, yes, of course. Because everyone had a fax machine, which would A, at the crucial moment, jam. B, run out of paper.
Oh, yes.
C, the paper will, of course, get stuck right in the cogs. So you would screw.
Then it would get crumpled and you'd have to iron.
Then it goes like, and you go, oh, shit. So you open up the fax machine, not that you know what you're doing, right? We can just about put petrol in the car, but you open up a fax machine as though you're a technical wizard, right? And you've got this paper which has now ground itself as though it's been crushed by a black hole in space. And you've got to try and pull it out, but you always leave. Always. The little bits which screw up. It was a nightmare. So then, thank God they made a software fax system, which I immediately adopted through my fax machine, I think through the window. And it was great. You could just do it online. And that was much easier. Sandra Butler, sorry, I'm used to cutting bits out, but Russ knows all about it. He can fill you in at some point when you got a few weeks.
Thank you,
Sandra Butler has a long history.
I shall nab Russ at a quiet moment and ask him for a life history.
She's one of life's very good people. I'm just going to leave it at that. And she stays totally below. There are people who do stuff and then they tell you about it and they boast about it. And you say, look, if you want to do charity stuff, do charity stuff. Don't throw it in my face. It's not my business. That doesn't make me feel any better about you or not. Down to you. And there's other people like Sandra who are completely below the radar and do amazing work. There you go. That differentiates people.
Russ, I know that at the start of today's show, you and I almost had some sort of pre-show meeting. I know
we
people.
we did.
I know people don't believe that we actually do this, but once in a while
we actually spoke
about what topics we're going to talk about. And you mentioned quite rightly that the Office for National Statistics that yesterday revealed that since the start of lockdown, at a total of 730,000 people have lost their jobs here in the UK.
That's additional people who were already out of work.
730,000 people since the start of it. Now, it is distinctly possible that some of those jobs were going to go anyway. Distinctly possible. But there is no denying that it was more than likely it would not have been that many had it not have been for lockdown and for the impact that coronavirus has taken.
Totally. This goes back to the debates, which got quite heated initially between Phil, Dave, and myself before we shut the studio for health reasons. And it was the most that Phil and I have ever disagreed on anything over many years of knowing each other. And it was about...
Which in itself was quite a sense of achievement.
It was extraordinary. But it was about statistics, numbers, and trying to balance. People talk about work-life balance, but this is much bigger. And Phil's view, and if I get this wrong, if I'm paraphrasing incorrectly, jump in, because that wouldn't be fair. But Phil's view was, look, this coronavirus is a horrible, horrible thing. However, if we are not careful, the economy will be utterly destroyed. There will be nothing left. So even if you come through the other side, you're coming through back to nothing. And, the whole thing was save the NHS. I totally understand that. And I thank God that I did not have to make any of the decisions that people had to make, because I'd be frank with you, I wouldn't be capable of doing it. I wouldn't know what to do. So they had to balance between saving as many lives as possible and trying to do their best for the economy. Well, what's happened is they have saved lives, although 44,000 people have died, and those figures will be mulled over for many years to come and analysed to see if they were all COVID related or if you were going to die anyway and it's just more convenient to put COVID. That sounds rude, but not far from the truth. But what's happened within 3 months, we're now into what? This is month 4, month 5, I don't know, I've lost track. The economy has tanked to a level that it was going to be bad, but this is disastrous. It's a 20% drop. 20% drop. And what we've seen, and Phil and I have talked about this with you, and you've been commenting from all over the world, is some of the biggest names that we've grown up that we thought were bulletproof have just disappeared. The knee-jerk reaction is, wow, they were running a business that only had like 3 months fat on it. I don't know what else to say. You see what I mean? 3 months reserve on it before everything went horrible and it collapsed. Economists have been writing and answering back to Phil and myself saying, no, it's not that they've been running for years when they shouldn't have been running, with poor investments, very poor management. And of course, under COVID, it was an ideal opportunity. I use my words carefully to bite the bullet and say cheerio. But wow, this is the real thing. So where do you stand on this now, Phil?
Well, where do I stand? I think the numbers speak for themselves. Apparently, 44,000 people have lost their lives to COVID. I have to say apparently, because there are reports that would suggest that the numbers might be inaccurate, but let's go with the fact that they are official figures now. So 44,000 people have lost their lives to COVID. 730,000 people who are still very much living have lost their livelihoods. I think the numbers speak for themselves, personally. So I don't really know what more I can say other than that.
What would you have done?
What would I have done? Well, I've sort of made it quite clear. I think that I would have kept calm and carry on. Honestly, I would have done. And I know it's shocking. And I know that, everyone's sort of saying, it's very easy to say that in hindsight. But I didn't say it with hindsight. I said
you said it from day one. Well, whether I agree with you or not, the one thing that is a fact is that you said this from day one. The moment this was even mooted, it might happen. You haven't changed your tune. You've changed your tune, and let's be clear about hygiene and your personal, the way that you are extremely careful, whereas you were pretty cavalier before. And to be honest, you were kind of mocking me because I was freaking out, and you thought, oh, I'm overreacting. And then yesterday when we met, you were surprised that I seemed more relaxed, and you were very strict. Well, with what you were doing, right?
Well, yeah, I was, but I might stress though that I have always been, and I still stand by this, way before COVID came along, I've always been a bit of a germaphobe. And I think if I thought for a second that bringing your own cutlery to a restaurant, well, I mean, I grant it's not normal now, but if I ever thought at the time that it would be acceptable, I probably would have done it years ago. I don't like the thought of using something that has been in someone else's mouth. It's as simple as. I really don't.
I just wonder if it's permanently changed our views of restaurants going out and everything. Now, Sen Monroe, I get this, and I'm going to answer your point because I know what the subtext is. So, Sen Monroe, personally, I want to hang out with friends, etc., and I'm with Phil on this. Oh no, that's not what Phil's doing. You've misunderstood. I would prefer just to go out and live, not exist, but I also respect those who don't want to go out. So let's be blunt. Sen, I haven't known that long, but we've become pals, is having a big event, big barbecue, which he's invited me weeks ago. And I thought about it long and hard. And I said to him, Sen, I'm sorry, I'm not going to attend. My reasons for that is it's in a venue that I don't know. I don't mean I'm not going because I don't know it. I mean, I don't know what precautions they've taken. I won't be in a group of more than 4, maximum 6, usually 4 people. That's it. I won't be in a bigger group than that. And also, I didn't want to attend a group where there would be dozens and dozens, possibly hundreds of people. And I don't know how careful they have been with their own health. Now, if they've been like Phil and myself, and everybody was like that, or my friend Larry, and sometimes Lloyd, I get it. Then that might be a safe thing to do. But I'm not going to take the risk. And I didn't want Sen to be offended, and I explained my reasons, and he understood. I have no problem. If that's what people want to do, that's what they want to do. But please don't come near me. That's how I feel. I'm sorry. I will Sen, and anybody else, I will meet you on a 1-to-1, or maybe, 4 people can get together somewhere safe. But I won't do more than that. Absolutely. I just won't. It's not worth the risk to me. Not with double pneumonia, not with my lungs scarred. No thanks. It's not worth it. Not, it's just not. If it's not in a controlled environment, that is my point. And Sen, just to set the matter right, Phil isn't gallivanting around. He has a much more joie de vivre than I probably do, but he's not he's being really, really careful.
I am definitely being careful about it, but I'm not letting it stop me at the same time. So I think that you can interpret that however you will. If that means that I'm being reckless, I don't think I am.
Yeah, you're not.
I do also agree. I don't want to just exist.
Neither do I. It's driving me mad. And, it's funny. Let me give you a little, for instance. Sen has been very kind, and he's prepared presents for everybody coming to the barbecue. It's a really lovely thing to do. And he said, I'm going to post it to you. And I said, no. I don't want to get a parcel in the post. It would mean so much more to me as a friend that when we meet up, it will be soon, we'll meet up somewhere safe, and then to be handed it is a lovely thing. I don't want it to be like an Amazon parcel, because that takes away all the personal touch and the thought and the care that you've gone in, you've gone into it. Sen, I totally understand it. Believe me, I am not having a go in the least. I'm sure it is very controlled and everything else. It just would make me too nervous. That's just me. Look, you're not going to miss the company. You're going to have hundreds of people there. So it'll be fine. 5-second rule. This is a good one from Richard.
This is very interesting that you say this, because this funnily came up yesterday.
We had this yesterday.
This actually came up yesterday because when we were sitting at the table and we were having some bread rolls, and I had gone to scoop up some butter from the butter tray, and as I went to go and take it, unfortunately, it dropped on the tablecloth. So I thought, stupid me. I went to go and get another bit of butter from the plate.
Wait for it.
Russ, on the other hand, never mind 5 seconds. Talk about waste not, want not. He dived in absolutely for the butter that was on the table and put it on his bread roll. I could not believe what I was seeing. So he's the one.
I didn't pick it up off the ground.
No.
It was on a very nice linen, beautiful, crisp, laundered linen tablecloth. It had been there for a nanosecond, and I picked it up with a knife.
Mm-mm.
And then I died last night, and I'm a ghost. You phantom. Scare myself there. Suzette Greenberg. A new list. Hello, Suzette. I don't think we've spoken before. I've just politely declined an invitation to attend a lunch party in a hotel as it was indoors. Suzette, totally get it. Totally get it.
Now,
I've got a question. Can I just ask a question? I have a question for Suzette. I'm going to ask a question.
I have to tell you, Sue, as I call her anyway, is a colleague of mine from another state.
Is she?
She's marvelous.
Is she full of crepe?
She is what I might suggest. Yeah, I see.
Should I do that one again?
Yeah, no, we see what we did there. It's fine. She is, without a shadow of a doubt, the backbone of one of the programs that I work on. She's our producer, and she does a blooming marvelous job.
Gardener's question time?
Yes.
Oh, next question, please. Phil Dave, Golders Green Horticultural Society. I have a clematis that is not flowering. And it's a south-facing wall with the soil is chalky.
I mean, I can't understand why, but the caterpillars keep eating the leaves despite the fact I keep putting slug repellent down. It's quite extraordinary, really. I've done everything. I even framed the little tag that it came with. I've got a nice little booklet I'll keep in my garage.
What flower do you? What's your view? Well, Phil, you're a twat. Thank you, Bob.
Good Lord.
Here's the thing. You know what it is?
Has changed
I absolutely love. I'm going back to the job losses in a second, but it's, okay. I love Gardener's Question Time. I'll tell you for why. It's my little. I don't even have a garden. And to be honest with you, I don't understand what the hell they're talking about for half of it. They get into the techno speak, east facing, west facing, slightly chalky, bit clayey. I don't know what they're saying. But I find it incredibly reassuring because I figure as long as we've got like Gardener's Question Time, there is some semblance of life. It is just a little dose of normality of people not screaming and shouting. That is why I like it. I know it sounds very, very silly, but I kind of think that Sam Monroe, this is definitely a Turk 5-second rule, 2-week rule. 2 weeks.
Yeah, right there. Anyway,
now, can I ask you this question? I want to ask you this question. I'd like to ask the listeners, and Phil, I'm going to ask you this question as well.
Oh,
I've declined. No, here's the thing, because it all links together. I've declined after much agonizing, like this Suzette Greenberg, much agonizing. I've declined and explained why. A very, very kind invitation, which I was looking forward to immensely, because I would know loads of the people there. To Sam Monroe's big barbecue. And Sen gets it. He understands. It's not a personal thing. So we're still mates, but I'm not going to go. He gets it. I'm wondering if people have lost friendships by saying, I'm so sorry, Doreen, I'm not coming to your lunch party at the XYZ hotel. I wonder if people have taken it really personally. It's another pressure that we're under, isn't it? And do you feel that you are coerced into doing something you don't want to do against your better judgment? Or do you feel, no, this is my life and it's literally my life if it goes wrong and I'm going to have to do whatever I've got to do, and if I lose the friendship, tough.
I think it takes a special person to be able to have the confidence to say to those around them, if they are not following standards to quite the same degree that they are, it takes quite a backbone to be able to turn to them and say, look, hang on. Whoa, back off. What are you doing? Getting too near. Please don't do that. Please don't touch that.
That's what I do.
But I don't think everyone's got that in them. I believe a lot of people struggle with that because they don't want to offend. They still have an overriding setting where they don't want to offend people.
When you're on a respirator and you've got permanent organ damage, you won't be worrying about offending a few people, because I can give a monkeys. If the friendship is that fragile and you can't accept somebody else's viewpoint, it's not worth having the friendship in the first place. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. And if people do get too near, I'm like, I'm literally like that, which I don't like because that's quite a passive aggressive thing to do. But if people get too near, sorry, back up, please. San Monroe, losing friends because they can't attend an event if they can't attend is petty. Yes, I want people to be comfortable with their decision regardless. We're friends and I've never coerced someone to do anything they don't want to. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, because you're a decent guy and you're a well-rounded guy and you've lived a full life. But there are people who just, they want to take offense. And I'm just wondering if any of you ladies and gentlemen out there all around the world have had to lose friends because they say, well, why aren't you coming over? Well, I'm sorry, I don't feel safe. Oh, you're ridiculous. And then it all blows up into some stupid row, you know?
Christy Holt, we don't kiss and hug anymore. Don't remember. I don't remember in the first place, to be honest with you, Chrissy, but okay. Oh, I see. Sorry, you mean other people. Sorry. No, I see what you mean now. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Hey, you got me. I walked right into that. That's
funny, actually, because I don't really. There'll be some people who would tell you that I was never the biggest hugger in the first place. You know, there are some people. You know? No, but there's some people who come right up to you, and the first thing they do when they see you is they throw your arms around you. And I just think it's friendly, I think, but it's also a bit gross as well. And there's some people that both you and I know, Russ, who are a bit like that. And it was almost the point that after the first time of meeting them, I just thought, you know what? I mean, you're nice, but I don't need to touch you, if I'm honest. So, I mean, it's not that
it's intrusive. You know what it is? On the one hand, you can say it's just being friendly. On the other hand, it is quite intrusive when someone you're not in, a relationship with, or you don't know that well, and just gives you a whacking great hug. And you think, okay.
Yeah, Chrissy, it's a European thing. You're quite right. Kissing each other.
Yeah, it is.
Thank God we're leaving.
We're not hugging. We're not kissing. It's we've all gone into this.
Can I just say? It's actually nothing to do with COVID that we're not kissing each other anymore. It's more because of leaving the European Union. We can't do it anymore.
Been banned.
Yeah, not allowed to. It's in something like the 10th Amendment or something like that. We're not allowed to kiss each other anymore on the cheek because it's classed as too European. It's offensive.
Yeah, you've upset Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, San. Right.
Who says, I was worried they would be offended, but they understood. No, that's good. Sue, I think any half-minded, half-decent individual would understand.
Yeah, totally that. Kimmy Lashmar, it's not just about me. This is the point. It's about my 90-year-old mum, my over 70 hubby, got 70 husbands, and at-risk daughter. Precisely. Kimmy, I couldn't agree with you.
How do you remember all those anniversaries? That's amazing.
It's incredible. 70 husbands.
Wow. It's not a harem, it's an army.
She puts it about a bit. Richard Todd, I'm confused by the quarantine rules a little. A friend of mine is flying over from her home in Spain today to spend a few days with her family. First time since January. She flies into Stansted, okay? Then gets the coach to Heathrow, oh God, tube to Hounslow, and then a bus to her parents' home. She fully understands this is so true, she then needs to stay at her parents' home for her 5-day stay. But how come she's freely allowed to use a coach, a tube, bus, and a train after arriving from Spain? There you go.
One might argue that
you go.
I don't mean to be rude, but I'm probably going to sound it. One might argue that if she had half an ounce of sense, she wouldn't do that, and she would restrict it to maybe asking a family member who she's staying with to come collect her, if that's possible. Because there is a little bit of self-responsibility going on here, you know? And if that is how she's choosing to travel, she's putting other at risk by doing that. Now, whether that is by choice or not, you could argue that she would be much better off, maybe if she can't get someone to collect her, taking a cab maybe taking a cab, because then at least that way she'd have to wear a mask and she would be confined to one area where you hope most cabbies actually clean their cars between passengers. They're supposed to anyway. But it is... My goodness me, Richard. Oh, my God. Not rude at all, Phil. Sadly, her father passed away from COVID-19 in April.
Jeez.
Wow. It's even more points. You know, she knows the devastation. So, seriously, I would say that it's a risk.
Chrissy Holt, you can't say it's a stupid thing. They should collect them at the airport, because Richard Todd has just said the father passed away in April and her mum doesn't drive. What's she supposed to do? She doesn't drive and her father's dead. She can't magically get there. I would personally reduce the risk by I would add it into the budget of the trip and get a cab.
But that is
that's
kind
what
of
I would do personally.
It's about some responsibility. You know, the message that we're receiving, I recognize it's the message over here, but the message that we've got from our government is stay alert, control the virus, save lives. And the reason for that is that it's telling us that we're the ones who need to be aware of what we're doing and how others around us could be impacted by that. And the awful truth is, I know she's got to get to her mother's house somehow. I totally get that. But getting from the airport and using so many different methods of transport is not a very responsible or sensible thing to
me. Sorry. But my point is, says Richard Todd, why are you allowed to use public transport arriving in from a country on the quarantine list? Well, you shouldn't be able to. It's nuts. It completely makes a mockery of what everybody else is doing. It makes a mockery of it. Either have the rule or don't have the rule. It's like being pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You either are or you're not. It's that. Chrissy, no. I'm sure no offense was taken because these things go out of time. So no one thinks you were being rude. It's just.
But of course, Russ, the difference between pregnancy and not is that one can take a test to know for sure if they are pregnant or not. Unfortunately, we still live in a bit of an age where if you are going to take a COVID test, you need to wait a couple of days before you know for certain if you've got it or not. What would be fantastic, and this may be a massive key to traveling in the future, is, and I know there are some countries and some companies that are subsequently developing this, but if we were to get the near enough instant tests where you don't have to wait very long to tell if you have it or not, then determine whether or not someone is safe to enter the country or not, that would be superb. It would be wonderful to think we could do that, because then actually in so many aspects of life, we carry on.
The alternative is, you've come in somehow. Now you're here, you've got to go into a quarantine camp, or you've got to go to the Hilton or a travel lodge for 2 weeks. It's all unworkable. Now, there's people who are saying I'll rush through this because, Sandra Butler, I was called, listen to this, people. I was called an embarrassment by an aunt at another aunt and uncle's wedding anniversary because I couldn't eat anything because of the anaphylaxis. I hope I pronounced that correct. However, my cousins understood why I checked about the food and drink, but this aunt, well, just give her ammunition and have another go at me. It's so rude. And then we've got Phil Jones. I've got Crohn's, low immune system, so I've been told I can isolate for safety reasons, but I can't do it financially. Mentally, I'm happier working. Oh, totally get it, Phil, totally get it. But my family comes first. I'm doing all I can to keep them safe, though. No public transport, or it ruins all this country is doing. I say no crossing from country to country. At least we're more secure here. Got to agree with you. I got to agree with you. We shouldn't. There shouldn't be. No, I don't think people should be coming in. I've said this from day one. Timmy Alexis Carrington Ward. I'm always safe flying around on my broomstick, dear. If anyone needs picking up, just send along my flying monkeys.
That's the spirit.
Cow. One day, Phil, we're going to get Timmy on properly to talk about real, proper grown-up stuff, because I know he's got proper stuff that he wants to talk about.
We do that. You and I take a day off because we won't get a word in edgeways.
No, we're going to have lunch. We do like what we did yesterday. We're going to town.
Can I summarize? I meant to say what happened to me yesterday. I know that we've only got like a minute left, but I told you, Russ, but I didn't tell everyone else. I was driving. I didn't really want to go by public transport yesterday, so I drove. I drove halfway into where I was meeting Russ and Alex, our colleague, and I got to a set of traffic lights, and this chap came up to me asking for money. He clearly was not from this country based on how he was talking, his accents, and the way he wouldn't really speak English very well. So he's holding up a sign instead. So I said to him, put my hand out saying, keep back, please. I should explain to her I had the roof down. Beg your pardon. Had the roof down, windows down. So it was a convertible car. I said, excuse me, keep back because of COVID. And he started mocking me, sort of saying, COVID. And then he proceeded to, I said, I'm not joking, get away, please. He then proceeded to start touching my car. And I said, you are right by a police station. Get away now or else. I didn't say get away. I said something a little bit stronger. And then he spat at my car. So that's the kind of thing that I was up against yesterday. Anyway, isn't that nice? On that happy note, we're out of time. You'll be delighted.
Shocking. Yeah. What a horrible thing to do.
I'm not here on Friday. Alex Lichtenfeld stands in, but she'll be joining Russ And the two of them will see you at 11 o'clock. Whatever you're doing, have yourself a marvelous afternoon and have a great couple of days. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.